A peace and blessings to you. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And so is that, brother. I keep getting this wrong. I guess sitting to the right of my screen is, is Dante Basista, a.k.a. Unc D, a.k.a. Harshmello, / a.k.a. the most forward-thinking, incredible bass player, musician of his generation. And I'm not exaggerating. As we get into a conversation with him, you're going to find out more about this brother. I love him personally. He's a good man. I know him personally, and I can't wait for this conversation to get started because I don't know what to expect. But before we do that, you know we have to do this. All of our podcast, our videos, our website, everything that we do is sponsored by the wonderful people at Vocal. Vocal is the only beverage on the planet which is designed to soothe, refresh, and restore your voice. So I don't know if Harshmello sings or not. I mean, he definitely makes some funky sounds. But if you talk all day like I do or sing all night like Unc D, then you have to get yourself some Vocal. You go to drinkvocal.com to learn more. Wow, wow, wow. Finally, here we are.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Talk about the vocal. I'll say there are vocals in some of the new Unc D stuff, but mixed very, very low.
So
we're
not
entering that round.
Is it your vocals that are mixed low?
Yeah. I'll throw down. I try to match the melodies and no words or anything, just straight vowels, you know. But it's an egg that is growing. So.
Well, I got to tell you this. This is the truth. You know, I'm a fan of innovation. I love innovation, and I think in some ways I receive submissions from different musicians about the EntreMusician and whatnot. Hey, I want you to check this out, and I'm always respectful and fair. But if it sounds basic, then you know I can't give it that much credence. However, your two CDs are like just. The first one especially, I can't even take it out of the CD player sometimes. It's just on point. And I can tell you this, Dante, is when my wife is riding with me, she knows I'm listening to a bunch of stuff. But when I hear her say, hey, who's that? Then I know it's got a special anointing. And she loves your stuff. So
Nice. Well, that's big time. I appreciate that.
What is your approach? How do you describe your own sound? Because it's different.
Well, the first album particularly, I'm trying to think about what we were calling the first album. Was it the one Cringe Goals? So that was the second one I did. I had an album out before where it wasn't as collaborative. So that was kind of my first more collaborative effort. The first one was more of, okay, let's see how much I could fill in myself. Before I take it to other guys. I worked with Nathan Negro and Nick Frank and Alex Miller. And but it was mostly me, you know, but then Cringe Goals was when I had cats like Mitch Lawrence and Jeremy Lucas playing great keys, Nathan Negro again, Nick Frank shredding solos. So there was a cool energy with that one for sure.
Absolutely.
But my philosophy with them is just to have as much as you can do with little equipment. Make things the easiest they can be within your means. Live within your means, but music production wise, you know, keep it simple. All the horns, besides Mitch Lawrence's horns, all of the Miller solos were recorded inside of a hallway at Youngstown State. I don't want to say specifically where, but it was a very tall, narrow hallway that people like to sing in, and we just went in there with these iPhone headphones, like these kind. And then I just let him rip, and I stood there and engineered without hearing the thing, and he ripped. And a lot of the stuff we do like that, we try to keep it based off of, you know, easy to do recording, and I think that was kind of the theme for those ones for sure.
So what microphone did you use? What did you record it to?
I used GarageBand through like an iPad mini. minimal plugins. I just
So-
started messing with those.
So the iPad Mini, that was the microphone that captured his saxophone?
Oh, the microphone from the headphones.
Gotcha.
Here you can see, like what you would speak into right now, just records, just throw sax on. And then you can play with the audio. It's definitely not clean like Mitch's solo was, which used a real mic. But if you step outside the bounds a little bit, I feel like the people will tolerate alternative production,
Sure.
I guess you could say.
Sure. Well, that's a good thing to call it. Now, is that what you call your sound? Because your sound is, when you say Harshmello, I mean, it really is. There's this juxtaposition against these grooves that I find fascinating.
Yeah, I try to use a lot of keyboard players, and I try to have them play very long, and then I let the percussion and bass be more funky, but always have those long keyboard soft tones to keep it pretty and kind of glaze it. That's the mellow. And then I try to have play with the rhythm to make very aggressive rhythms, I guess, on the bass. The bass isn't always the smoothest, but that's because there's other people being smooth. That kind of interplay.
Yeah, man. So how did you embark on this journey of music?
Ooh. Well, I started when I was probably in 4th or 5th grade with school band. Started playing the saxophone and got involved in improv early on, where I kind of caught the wind of it and was like, ooh, this is fun. This is the fun part of playing an instrument. I kind of picked up and went through that whole bit, and was in a rock band early on in high school. But so I picked up the playing electric bass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I picked up the electric bass around like 14, 15, started a band before I played bass, that kind of bit. And then went from there. I just kind of stood with it, as I can. As entrepreneurs, you can't always be full-time, as you say.
Right. But it's interesting to know that you started the band yourself. And that's, I guess that's the little niche with being a musician and an entre musician. You always see the step ahead. And that's what I admire about you, because you're always looking forward.
Oh, well, thanks. Sometimes that can get in the way, though. Sometimes you can get caught up on new projects. It's kind of the phase I'm in with this quarantine.
Right.
There's like 3 new projects that are barely started, that kind of thing.
That's the forward thinker, though. So with respect to music, you have another love as well, because you're a doctoral student. So you want to talk about your academia?
So I'll involve a little bit in it, but we'll keep it restricted.
Well, what do you love? What do you love? I mean, are you equally balanced in the love of what you want your industry to be, or is it going to be music?
I don't think I could be one or the other. I think the thing that I like about it, studying history on a graduate level and being involved in research, is the balance that I have, where on the history side of things, I have to be a student and learn from so many different people through books and through mentorships. But you could be creative within that, but it's a more disciplined creativity. Whereas this music side of my life, I feel like because it's not a full-time thing and I have that balance, I could be more wild and untamed in the music side of things. So it's fun to have. I think without that balance, I might be more disciplined in the music realm, which could be a good thing. But I appreciate right now the risk taking, because I don't have my energy all the way in one or the other. It's kind of it's a back and forth type thing.
So what is the discipline in the study of history? I mean, what type of history are you studying?
So I'm studying American history, particularly the early empire period. Around the early 1900s, we had Pacific colonies like the Philippines, Guam, Hawaii. And I'm studying people who basically were in opposition to the military and the government decisions and operations to maintain those islands as colonies. So kind of the interplay between civilian people in dissent and people who and important people who were saying, no, we should do another policy. and how they interacted when they were traveling throughout those colonies. Mm-hmm. So how being involved in traveling through a colony and riding on the big Navy boats could impact somebody who thought that we shouldn't be paying for these big Navy boats, that kind of thing.
Now, let me ask then, is with the whole COVID situation that's upon us, was this a year you were supposed to get out, or did you have another year to go?
Oh, no. No? I just started up in the fall. So I still got a good bit ahead. I see. Yeah, so I'm in the bottom stage of it, working my way up.
Right. Now you're at which university? Yeah, now, so we've just celebrated the 50th anniversary on May 4th of the tragedy that occurred there. So much respect, much love to those families.
For sure. Wow. It's a shame that the pandemic, it's a shame the pandemic happened in general, but it's a shame that the 50th anniversary not celebration, but commemoration.
The memorial,
the memorial. It's a shame they weren't able to go forth with that, because it was going to be pretty nice. Something special.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, again, to the legacy, to the respect to their families and whatnot, but being so close to that area and actually being on the planet. You were not on the planet 50 years ago. So old guys like me, I certainly wasn't old enough to understand everything that was going on, but I had older cousins and, just my family understanding that dynamic. So now back to the bass side, though. Who are your influences on bass? Who do you listen to? Who gets you?
Right now, as with many people, for justifiable reasons, I've been getting real into Thundercat. Yeah. Thundercat and Bubby Lewis, both great bass players who are, I believe, I was going to say self-producers as well, but basically Thundercat and Flying Lotus, because they're kind of hand in hand on everything they do. But if you haven't listened to it, Thundercat put out an album. It Is What It Is, I think, or in early April, I think is when it was. But I'm really getting digging into him, specifically how he uses pedals. I just got a multi-effects pedal board, so now everybody has to suffer through 8 or 9 different basses on every song now. Because that's what it's there for. So I've been messing around with that.
Oh, that's really cool. What inspires your writing? Because again, the one thing that I'm intrigued about is just your approach, not necessarily to your instrument, because I think you do lead bass very well. It's very forward thinking. But when you're conceptualizing a song, what's the inspiration behind it?
It gotta go back to Miles Davis. Just the way he had all those fusion albums in the early 70s, where there wasn't a lot of coordination. It was a lot of group improv. So I try to balance that, and you can only do that in so many different ways. Because at a certain point you need to orchestrate things between the band. People need to play. Syncopation matters. To a certain element, but. So I try to balance it between no melody, no solo, mixed with solo and melody. But I'm trying to stay away from vocals for the past stuff. I was really trying to stay away from vocals.
But the egg is growing.
Oh yeah. It took inspiration from your latest album, with all the spoken word. Yeah, that has been the way you played off of that, where there was. You had music going on, but there's also vocals, so you can do your music differently. You don't need to structure it in a certain way as you would if there was a sax melody, or if there was a word, a song. That's impacted me a lot, because you can really work with that, I think, and your album showed that.
Yeah, it's that was an interesting project, and I think a lot with what's going on. Not to get down the rabbit hole with what that means, but to be unrestrained sometimes from melody really does help. The music kind of guides you down a different path than if you were this is where we are. Yes, and stay here. But I absolutely love your stuff, and what I haven't done other than Facebook Live is gotten to one of your performances when we were performing. But do you love that aspect about it? From just being the bass player that's playing in another outfit to having to step forward into your own band? How is that transition for you?
Oh, it's such a challenge because as bass players or any instrumentalist, when you switch your role in the band, it's definitely a challenge because you're used to certain ways of which you have to contribute to what everybody else is doing. And once that changes and people expect different things from you within the band format. So when you go from a bass player to lead bass, a lot of guys usually have another bass player with them so that they don't have to worry about the bass line. They just, you play melodies like Braxton Brothers, a lot of the guys on the smooth jazz radio that do it that way. But I didn't want to do that because I kind of wanted to, I don't want to fill the whole time. For me, that's not kind of my bag. I like being able to be the bass player. So that's the biggest challenge, is having the balance that changed from when I switched from being a bass player to a lead player, because still learning how to interact with my members and, with bandmates and to keep the groove going, that's the hardest part. But, it's all about growth. So,
so how are you growing off the bandstand when it's, again, you're the side guy that gets called into the gig, and then now you are putting the gig on? How are you making that transition off of the stage?
Oh, if anything, it helps being a hired guy so much easier, because you sympathize with whoever organizing the project is, and you're just like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? It's just everything clicks, and you're like, oh okay, I get it, Right. So I think it helps because you could be a better bandmate. You could be a better bandmate for sure. And but those types of stuff have been dwindling. I've been not for things have been
of course,
but especially with the quarantine, I've been really pretty much just doing the Unc D thing and original music, which has been weird because I like to be able to share energy with other musicians, but it's weird being a solo, compared to being a session guy where you're playing with everybody all the time.
Well, of course, and there are dynamics about that I'm sure are going to stretch you as well. And that's what I really do, man, Dante. I really do admire the fact that you are like this rubber band. I mean, that's my opinion of you. You can be stretched. You don't have to remain in one, this is where we are right now. And you tend to rise to the occasion. I really appreciate that about you.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about from jams, because jams, we definitely can get way out there.
Well, not just from jams. I mean, again, it's three-dimensional for me. It's our conversations that we have. It's, listening to your music, watching you grow as a young man, as a student, but then watching you say, well, look, I'm going to strap on the bass and now I'm the lead guy. I mean, you're just like, you're there. That's the EntreMusician spirit. You got it.
Yeah. Well, your podcast certainly helped. I can stand a testament to that. It's great. It's great being able to have the conversation about that, because there's a lot of places to learn how to be a great musician on your own. And there's less amount of places they'll teach you how to be a great hired guy, but talking about the craft and what it's like to be your own boss is a whole different thing.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you got it and going, man. So what else is going on in the Harshmello, Unc D, Dante life that is after we get out of this quarantine that we can expect from you?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about some details, but I'll definitely bring some things I got working up with. Looking into making a content label and getting a little bit into being a playlist, basically making a playlist and taking submissions and getting into that market, a 24/7 playlist. And I'm doing some other things inspired by the great Jere B. I'm doing a comedic storytime project. Where it's I don't want to put the exact details on it, but it'll be under 80 BPM, and it'll be basically late night late night apology hour. That's what it, in a comedic way. So I'm excited to fuse the two. Maybe like I want to see how that kind of thing interacts with lo-fi playlists.
Very
trying
cool.
to see how passive music could involve words.
Very cool.
You know, but yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's real cool. That was the thing I think you talked to me about 2 months ago. That you know, with the content labeling and whatnot. That's again thinking like a EntreMusician, man, making it really happen. Now I off the beaten path for just a second, and we can only go as deep as you want to go down here because I'm putting you on the spot. But you know, I've been really considering where we are as musicians, and I made a couple videos about the state of the economy, which this pandemic has done, and then with respect to musicians just doing the same thing. You are an innovative thinker. We're all at this red light together. You know, the story time sounds great. What other means of bringing in another stream of income for yourself? Just like we were talking about, people that we know and love have lost everything. They don't have a 9-to-5. They were full-time musicians. They've lost it. So we're all at this red light together. Once we get to the green light, what do you think, Dante, Unc D, I don't know what to call you, Harshmello. what do you think that you'll be doing differently now that we've come to the conclusion that the proverbial they can just stop the flow of income for us? How would you be handling your career differently?
What I think, the direction I definitely want to go in, it seems like a lot of people are doing this and they should, make yourself somebody who can sell your output as a recorded session musician in a sense. So make video of you recording, you making music, and use that. You could make like what I'm doing where you know, you make creative stuff. So you could spend 5 minutes throwing down on somebody's track and just send it to them because it's that easy. And especially if you have your situation set up, because it seems like, I don't know, those regular gigs where you're playing in front of people passively, those might not be there at least immediately. I'm not saying, I don't think we'll see things change totally, but it's definitely that shock where we're like, oh my God, we have to change ourselves and, you know, work our way up in a different way. So that's what I think. I think that's a smart way to go about it. Video, get good at video and being independent content, video and music.
Absolutely, because it's a really interesting time, and I guess the one thing that is surprising, because I'm an observer, and I'm just surprised that there's still a mindset among my fellow brothers and sisters who are musicians who are thinking that we can just push the button and rev it right back up. I think there are going to be some differences that we need to think about and put in place. Just wondering how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I think it's exciting too. I think it's definitely something that I'm excited to see. I'm thinking it'll make people more creative. I'm hoping that if everybody gets on a level where instead of your weekly band practice, you all figure out through maybe like a live chat or something what you're going to spend your hour or 2 hours that you're working on music that day recording, and then you put together a video like Butcher Brown. Every week right now, the past couple of weeks, they, as a I think 5 or 6 person group, individually record their parts and they post online a song with video and audio, and it's like, that's so genius. Because, but I feel like that might be something that we see more of, because you know, people are going to get more familiar with sending music through the internet rather than it from ear to ear. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And the technology is on our side right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we'll see more options in the market too. Hopefully it'd be great one day if you can get past the, I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff, but the lag you get from sending the latency
information.
Issues.
Latency issues. If we could ever get beyond that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. But we're pretty, I mean, we are so much further than even a year ago. It's really incredible. really a year ago was, you know, and they're shrinking it. We're talking about milliseconds, you know, but they're shrinking it at milliseconds, and here we are.
Yeah, it's looking good.
It's just bandwidth. That's the whole thing. The biggest instruments, the biggest parts, how long the song is, all of those things.
Yeah.
Weigh in, you know.
Yeah. If I was more, I don't even want to start. Someone's in a comment like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, it's the truth though. But I mean, Zoom is really showing us. First it was Skype, but I think Zoom is a better model. And someone once said, none of them are paying us, so I don't want to put out too many marketable names.
Yeah.
But there's somebody coming behind Zoom that is supposed to be a lot faster and smarter. It's just the technology is going to continue to increase, and we'll get there. You know.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing me your insight and letting me put you on the spot. You know.
Oh. Yeah. Hopefully you could. Hopefully it wasn't just, you know. Hopefully you can understand it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
It's not a crafted press release.
That's correct. And that, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong answers, but I think that as long as you are prepared to think beyond your current situation, say, okay, well, here's what I can do, and then constantly continuing to cut out the middleman, whoever he or she may be, so that you can have more direct access to the people who are following you, who are your fans, your customers, then you're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they say one of the best. I think I might have heard this from one of your podcasts. The idea that one of the best marketing things you could do is just DMing people. Just throw your stuff to everybody you know first, and always do that, and then build from there. But that's a tough act to balance, because some people don't want you to spam them. You know what I mean?
That's true. No, I said you walk in a tightrope as a musician anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the first point is being relevant and being familiar and trying your own stuff. What a tightrope. Yeah. Not everybody's a Miles Davis. Miles Davis, you kind of have to have the attitude like Miles did, like, forget it. I don't care if you like it or not. This is what's up. You know what I mean? But, you know, there's some venues where they only want to hear a certain genre or a certain type of music or cover songs and whatnot. And you got to say, okay, well, I could give you what you want, because I have to be the salesperson involved, but I got to try to put a little bit of me in there, so that I can build this brand and, you know, get you in my corner, get you thinking like I want you to think, you know.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's something that I'm interested to see, how the changes that we might see with the shift to online, how that'll interact with that idea of fitting within because if you don't have a physical audience, it's interesting to see how people interact with a internet audience, you know.
Right.
That'll be a whole, because it's harder to gauge people, you know.
And you have to be putting in things, inserting things that make sure that engagement is organic and ripe, and you are collecting. That seems like a terrible word, but you're receiving the information, you're collecting the email addresses. You want to be able to hit them again, because if people are just like zooming through on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you are, and they're just passing through, that was that 15 seconds. It might have been maybe they stayed for 2 songs, but then if they're off, that's it. It's done.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about looking at stats on Spotify, is finding out what track list didn't work, which one did. I remember the one release, I don't want to say it, but the I don't know if you heard this one, but the one release, the first song wasn't good for a lot of people. It was too experimental right off the bat. You know, that leading track has a certain role that needs filled, and it was interesting seeing how the internet audience interacted with that. You know, because a lot of people didn't get past it.
So the one song like killed the entire list.
Yeah, it was. But whereas other albums, you'll see like people make it, you know, mostly to the end, mostly to the third one. This one, most of them was the first one.
Wow.
Which is a shame. It's a shame, but it is what it is. That's how, you know, you got to understand how supply and demand works. How many people are going to listen somebody they never heard before more than 25 seconds. You know what I mean? That kind of
That's
thing.
true. That's
like
true.
How much time are people going to give you?
So what about you with respect to the stuff that you put on Spotify? Are you making your songs shorter? Are they like?
I try to keep them around like 3 minutes. I try to do that around 3 or 4 because it's hard because I do like to jam.
Yeah.
What can I say? You know what I mean? It sits on it. That's what I'm used to. But I've been experimenting with shorter songs specifically for some newer stuff because on the comedy side of things, the minutes that you're playing are different than on the jazz side of things. On the jazz side of things, it's like, all right, I need 12 minutes from you. Okay, we could do one song and jam out. And 12 minutes is nothing. But like as a comedian and that kind of thing, it's like, ooh, like you could, it's harder to fill up time sometimes, especially because I'm new in this. I'm not the only one. The people I'm working with were also new. Drehova. This is a newer thing, but trying to fuse comedy and music together have kind of made it a shorter thing. But other than that, a lot of the stuff out is pretty long. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Just wondering where you were because again, going back to Cringe Goes and the CD before that, it's like it's like one song flowed into the other. It was seamless almost. Yeah,
that's something I want to work on even more because there's been a lot of people I've been listening to that are like house type stuff where they're used to the purpose of their music being thrown into a mix where you have long outros, long intros, so you can mix them in real nice. That's something I want to. Some of those songs have that. The first album has that a lot, but some of their newer stuff goes right into it,
right?
Which has been a different thing.
Well, you definitely have yourself together, brother. I mean, I'm happy to know you personally. I'm happy to see from afar. Like I can step back and see where Dante is going and what his music is going to mean. Specifically, and I don't mean this like a grandpa saying that, but I mean to your generation. I mean, really, if you were not innovative, if you were not like making a statement that's not just basic, you've pulled yourself away, it seems, from what everybody is doing, but you're accessible enough for everybody, the Mitch Lawrences, the Alex Millers, the Nate, to come in, Nick Frank, all of them to just like, and it's an inviting environment and atmosphere that you set. And I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you.
Thanks. I just thank you for the kind words, but it's good that you bring up the other guys because, while, I'm pushing behind the scenes and doing some of the busy work about it. The guys I'm working with are definitely what are making it innovative for sure. There's a lot like you said, Mitch Lawrence kills it on Cringe Goals. Nick Frank rips hard. He's great. Danny Svensson, I've been working with him for the past EP I put out, Patronacy, and Pimpin' Infant was the first thing we worked on together. The one that I brought over and we messed with. That, yes. So that's Danny, and we've been working together. And Danny is extremely innovative. He's extremely innovative in engineering and production. Yeah. So working with him has been a very nice development. He would be a great person to have on your show. Or he would be great if he was split screened in here because he would be.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure he would. But yeah, it's just about taking risks, and then just trying to build leverage. People don't have any reason to give me time because what leverage do it? You have to convince people that, hey, it's worth spending 20 minutes listening to this dude's music. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So. Correct. That's kind of where that's kind of the attitude I guess you got to have but it's fun because you could take risks because you could see what works, what doesn't work.
That's true. And that's what music is all about. If music is not about risk, we all should just go home, hang up your drumsticks, put your bass strings down. It's over.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So tell me, what question that you wish that I would have asked you? Like, wow, I wish this is what I want people to know, and Jere hasn't even got to it. What is that question and how would you answer it?
Something I would even like to ask you, I guess, if that's in the similar thing. But how to manage your time that you spend as an entrepreneur and a musician on the musician side of things in regards to obviously most musicians have to have another job. So you have to have another way of income. and you have to balance that. So I guess what would be your attitude that you should have towards that, and how to balance your day job and your musician?
Well, the first and foremost is that you should prioritize everything. I'm huge at writing a lot of stuff down. I'm not trying to give this guy any commercial time or anything, but Michael Hyatt has the Full Focus Planner, which has really kind of changed the game for me, because the way the planner is set up, it's like the things that I need to get done, the things that are peripheral is really laid out in front of me. And I start my days really early. Now, back when I was your age, and again, I know I sound like a grandpa saying that, I was a totally flipped musician, because I would be up to 3 a.m, either jamming or recording and whatnot. But that caused me to get up at 11:30, sometimes noon, 1 o'clock, depending on the gig, and half of your day is done. So the business part of it really doesn't get done, because that business part of it has to be planned. If you complicate that by having to work and then doing music at night, then you're going to lose a lot of the planning of your career, because the music has got, that's who we are. That's in our spirit. That has to come out, but you're suppressing the actual EntreMusician side of it, the entrepreneurship, because you can't plan. You can't look 2 weeks ahead. You can't look to see, what am I going to be doing in July? So here's the way I balance it. Because I'm an associate pastor, and so I have great responsibilities that are in front of me as far as the church that I serve is concerned, and the people there. So what I need to do is take days where I'm just planning out. Here's the 15 things I need to get done. If it's January, I need these 15 things absolutely done by the time we get to April. And so I have to take bite-sized pieces and just crank out my day. And I find that when I do that with the bite-sized pieces, I look back at April and I go, wow, I can look in the rearview mirror and say it happens. Other than that, it's willy-nilly. Time is going to crush you, and you're not going to be able to achieve what you want to.
Yeah.
That's the big answer.
It's all about those short-term micromanaging of your schedule, for sure.
You're a doctoral student, so you know what that means to compartmentalize. If the professor says, here's 20 books that you got to read, this is not optional.
It's and the best part about waking up early, not that I do it all the time, for sure. But the best part about it is you have that control. You wake up thinking you have so much control over your own life, or your day more specifically. You're like, and let's go. Anything I want to do, I'm going to do. Whereas if you wake up at 11:30, you have that anxiety of, oh my God, how am I going to get these things done that I need to do?
That's right.
But there's something about being up like 5:30. If you're up at 5:30,
that's right.
That's kind of my threshold.
That's it. That's good. Now I'm going to challenge you to crank that back to 4:30, and then you can call me.
Yeah, right. That's the big boy time right there.
But the thing about it is, I know for that to work for me, I need to be in bed. If I'm not asleep, I need to be in bed by 10:30. I need to be winding my day down. And again, just giving some hype to the Full Focus Planner, because he has ways to start your day that you can customize, and then ways that you should really be shutting down. If you're not shutting down your day properly, you're not going to enter into the next day planned. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you have to look at what you've done. You have to be ahead of, hey, here's what I got to do tomorrow. And when you wake up, you can just keep it moving.
Yeah, I'll look into that. That sounds great.
If I mean, it's right over there. I could see it, or I would run and get it. But look, Michael, you're gonna have to pay me, man, to show to show your planner on the air. I got to get some residuals.
Yeah, I'll post great reviews on all social media things.
Absolutely. Well, I so appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you. I know that this is not going to be our last conversation here, and interested in the very next project that you're doing, the content, the comedic stuff, just whatever you're doing, man. I want to be able to listen to it, look at it, check it out, because I know it's
I'll keep throwing it your way. I'll throw you it as it comes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what's your website? How can people get in touch with you?
Okay. So I currently have a social media is probably the best move right now. Although I do have a EPK that's stacked up. I would suggest go on the Bandcamp. That's probably a good move. And I believe you can just type in Unc D. It should be uncd.bandcamp.com. Yeah, and I keep that updated. But I'm on all the major platforms. YouTube, I have music visuals for almost all of the songs that I have since Cringe Goals to match the music. Plus I have just the music itself and a lot of live footage. There's a lot of live stuff on YouTube. So yeah, just kind of search around Unc D.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Of course, they could see it right up here at the top of the screen. So, hey, I'm so grateful to have you, man. I mean that with all my heart. Harshmello, Dante Basista, and Unc D, all wrapped up in one package. So that's my friend. That's my brother. My name is Jere B. I'm the EntreMusician. So is that brother sitting over here. And so are you. We will definitely see you next time. Peace and blessings.
Alrighty.
All right, brother.
Alrighty.